My name is Margaret Collins, and for most of my life I believed that love, sacrifice, and family were enough. I was wrong. I was sitting alone at the small kitchen table when the house suddenly felt too quiet. The kind of quiet that presses against your chest and reminds you that someone is missing. My husband, Thomas, had been gone for 6 months. 42 years of marriage gone in a single night. He died peacefully in his sleep, they said. No pain, no warning. But pain doesn't disappear just because it's quiet. Every morning since his death, I still reached for 2 cups instead of 1. Every night I still turned toward his empty side of the bed, and every week my children reminded me that I was now inconvenient. I have 2 children. My daughter, Rachel, the eldest, practical and sharp-tongued, and my son, Daniel, charming on the surface, distant underneath. At first, after the funeral, they visited often. They brought casseroles. They hugged me tightly. They spoke softly, as if I were made of glass.
"Mom, you shouldn't be alone so much. Mom, let us help manage your finances. Mom, Dad didn't leave much anyway. We need to plan carefully." I believed them. I believed their concern was love. I didn't notice when the visits became shorter, when the phone calls slowed down, when their kindness turned into calculations. They talked about money a lot, about how expensive life had become, about their mortgages, about their children's college funds, about how hard everything was, and always, subtly, they reminded me of my situation. "You're lucky the house is paid off, Mom. At least you don't have many expenses now. You don't really need much at your age." At my age? I was 69 years old, still healthy, still capable, still alive. But in their eyes, I had already started to fade. One afternoon, Rachel came over with a folder. "Mom, we need to talk," she said, sitting across from me. Daniel leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "We've been looking at your accounts," Rachel continued. "There really isn't much there. Dad didn't leave much savings." I nodded slowly. Thomas had always been modest, careful, quiet. "We think it would be best," Daniel added, "if we sold the house." The house. The home Thomas and I built together. The place where our children took their first steps. The walls that had heard laughter, arguments, apologies, and forgiveness. "Sell it?" I whispered. Rachel smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "It's too big for you now. You could move into something smaller, or maybe assisted living later." Assisted living. I looked around my kitchen, at the worn table, the faded curtains Thomas had insisted we keep. "And the money?" I asked. "Well," she hesitated, "we'd manage it for you, make sure it lasts." I felt something tighten inside me, but grief makes you weak, and trust makes you blind, so I said nothing. Within weeks the house was listed, sold quickly, too quickly. They told me the market wasn't good, that I was lucky to get what I did. They gave me a portion of the money, enough to live comfortably, Daniel said. Then they stopped calling. Rachel moved farther away. Daniel stopped answering texts, and suddenly I was alone. Not just widowed, abandoned. The neighbors pitied me. The cashier at the grocery store spoke slowly to me, as if I might break. Everyone assumed I had nothing, and I let them, because there was something no one knew. Something even I had almost forgotten. 3 weeks before Thomas died, he handed me an envelope. "Margaret," he said softly, "put this somewhere safe. Don't open it yet, not until you're ready." I had tucked it away in a drawer and forgotten it in the chaos of grief, until one quiet evening, when loneliness became heavier than sorrow, I found the envelope. My name was written on it in Thomas's handwriting. Inside were documents, legal papers, deeds, bank statements, and a letter. My hands shook as I read. "My love, if you're reading this, it means I'm gone. I'm sorry for leaving you alone. I didn't tell you everything because I wanted you to live peacefully, without worry or expectations. Over the years, I invested quietly, carefully. Everything is secure. The properties, the accounts, the company. It's all yours, Margaret. You are not poor. You never were." My breath caught. There were multiple properties, commercial buildings, rental houses, even the apartment complex where Daniel lived. Everything was owned by a company, and I was the sole owner. I sat there for hours, crying, laughing, grieving, understanding. Thomas had known. He had seen what I refused to see, that love changes people and money reveals them. The next morning Rachel called. Her voice was sweet again. "Mom, we just wanted to check in. Are you managing okay?" I smiled. "I'm doing just fine." "Well," she continued, "you should be careful with your spending. The money won't last forever." I thanked her and hung up. Over the next few weeks, I met quietly with Thomas's lawyer. Everything was legal. Everything was mine. The house sale? Illegal. The money they took? Unjustified. But I didn't rush. I waited. Then one afternoon, Daniel called in a panic. "Mom, we need to talk." "What is it?" I asked calmly. "The landlord, the building. There's an issue. They're raising the rent, threatening eviction." I paused. "Oh?" "Yes. Apparently the owner changed management. Everything is different now." I smiled softly. "I see." Rachel called the next day. Her voice was sharp. "Mom, do you know what's going on with Daniel's apartment? This is serious." "Yes," I said, "I do." Silence. Then confusion. "What do you mean?" "I mean," I said gently, "that your father left more than you thought." I invited them both over. They arrived nervous, defensive. I laid the documents on the table. Their faces changed. Shock, fear, regret. You own all of this?" Rachel whispered. "Yes." Daniel swallowed hard. "We didn't know." "No," I said. "You didn't ask." They tried to apologize, to explain, to justify, but betrayal doesn't disappear with excuses. "I loved you unconditionally," I said, "but you measured my worth by what you thought I had." I stood up. "I will be fine," I said, "but things will change." They left quietly, humbled, and for the first time since Thomas died, I felt peace. not because I had none, but because I had clarity. Sometimes losing everything is how you finally see the truth.